This is the Ryan Luelf Show.
It's my own mind that has a hard time just letting myself be myself. Like, you guys could give me the most phenomenal feedback in the world about an episode, and my own mind is still wanting to like pick it apart or analyze it, or was it really that good?
Yeah, we're so hard on ourselves though.
Yeah. But like, I'm really interested in living more in a space where I don't resist that. I don't get angry at that. I just don't really pay any attention to it.
No, you shouldn't.
And I just let it be. Because at the end of the day, like, there is no reality. There's only perception, including my own. So,
and most people would say there's only perception and not reality. Or excuse me, there's no reality, only perception. What did you say? You said
that's what I said.
Yeah, but most people think the opposite.
There is no reality, there's only perception.
Mm-hmm.
You think people think there is no perception, there's only reality?
Yes.
Ooh, you are right, actually. You're right. They think that their way of seeing it is, and if you see it differently, they don't have any way to even, oh my God, I never thought about that before.
But it's like the alternative reality. Like, people just, well, they think way different from me, and that's their perception, but their perception isn't reality.
Right. Mine is the truth. That's just their truth.
Yes.
But mine is the truth.
Yeah. And a big sample of that is the political state of the world right now.
Sure.
It's like we're living in two realities.
Yeah.
There's the left side, there's the right side, and then there's most people with common sense and logic somewhere in the middle of that. But if you're far right or far left, you just think the other one lives in an alternate reality.
True. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm not trying to make the show political, but
that kind of leads us into episode 3, which is I wanted to talk about, and I if I'm going to use the 1.0 world and the 2.0 world, then I have to give credit to Peter Crone, because like he really did kind of, trademark that language and all that. But at the end of the day, it feels like there's a world that so many of us live from or live in, and it doesn't really appear that it's working very well. And then there's like this new world where if you have the realization of who you actually are and you awaken out of the misidentification of all the stories and the addiction to the false self that so many of us believe we are.
The small space that you're in.
Correct. Then it's like a whole new world, even within the world, right?
Yeah.
And so how many of us, if we're honest, are living in a world that doesn't work?
Bro, can I give you just my perspective of that?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I was in 1.0 and it was really good. I'm not going to lie. It was really good. Like, I lived a life, the 1.0 version of Barlow that most people could only dream of living. And I'm super thankful, nothing but gratitude. Did I make some bad decisions in 1.0? Absolutely.
Sure.
Did I think differently than I think now? Absolutely. Do I wish I didn't have 1.0? Absolutely not. I loved every part of Barlow 1.0. Loved every part of it, for the most part. And it's not because Barlow 2.0 has more money, has more power, has more influence, has more things. It's none of that. But you're talking to a guy who is transitioning. I'm not Barlow 2.0 yet. I'm not.
Well, I don't know that we ever arrive. I'm sure there's still tentacles of the 1.0 world.
I disagree. I think there is going to be a 2.0 version that is going to blow my socks off.
Ooh.
I do.
Okay, fair enough.
And so, but I'm 1.5 right now.
Nice.
And so I get to live, and quite frankly, I get to live through your coaching in probably the most valuable time in my life. I am so open to anyone and anything that's going to make me be the best version 2.0 that I can possibly be.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of men, I think they're stuck in 1.0.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. It wasn't until I was 47, 48 to realize I wasn't the best version of myself, even though I woke up every day thinking I was the best version of myself. Until you look back and you realize, man, I should have done that different. Maybe I could have saved my marriage if I would have been different there. Maybe if I grew up a little differently and I didn't oppress some feelings, maybe that marriage doesn't happen. Or maybe I rearranged the marriage to function a little different. Maybe my relationship with my kids would be a little different if I didn't get my ass whipped by my dad all the time. But also maybe I wouldn't respect my dad or my grandfathers as much as I respected them, and who groomed me to be the way that I am in business, which has allowed me to be successful. Maybe all that wouldn't have happened if my dad didn't whip my ass whenever I was out of line or disrespectful or didn't use my manners. I'll never forget my I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I'll never forget my grandfather, who I adore, both of my grandfathers, but one in particular who I absolutely adore with every fiber of my being. I feel like I am the version of who I am because of him. But I'll never forget sitting at the dinner table with him one night. We both love steak and baked potatoes, and we both love a cold Pepsi from a can with that steak and potato. And one night I sat next to him. Grandma had fixed the steak. She had grilled it. The baked potato was nice and soft. I mean, you just cut the baked potato open, you put the butter on it. The steak's right there. And I had my steak and my knife, and I'm starting to saw the steak. And my grandfather says, "You don't cut all your steak at once. You cut it one by one. You cut a piece of steak. You place the knife with the leading edge leading toward the body. You pick up the fork. Get the knife, cut, place the knife. Cut. Don't ever eat your steak like that next to me again." Well, I thought he was kidding. So I'm like, oh, Grandpa, and I continue to cut all my steak up because I wanted to get all the work done. I want to enjoy the steak.
Right. That's how I eat mine today.
He picks up his plate. He goes to the other part of the house, and he refuses to eat his steak and potato with me because I was disrespectful and didn't use my manners. This is how meticulous my grandfather was.
Yeah.
So all that to say is, I had a great upbringing and a great childhood, and I am very thankful for the roles and the people that loved me what I thought was unconditionally. But then, I did all the things I was told I was supposed to do. I went to college, you buy a house, you get married, you have kids, and you live the all-American dream. That's what I was told. That's how I was to be happy and successful. And so you fast forward until you're 47, 48, and then you wake up one day and you're confused and you're stressed and you're curious and you're oppressed. Some feelings are being oppressed, and they have been oppressed. And you're like, man, I don't feel like I am who I am. I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel like I'm lying to myself and the very people that I love so much.
Yeah.
So you're sitting next to a guy who has had a great 1.0, and by most people's standards, why would you want anything different? But what I'm saying to you is sometimes you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are in that small space and you realize there's a much bigger, broader space, but I'm afraid of that space. I'm Shawshank Redemption. I'm not so sure I want to go full 2.0 because when I get outside of jail, it might be really, really scary. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think the reason that is because I think the basis for the entire operating system of the old world is around the idea that you can screw life up, that you can get it wrong. And as long as I am afraid that I can get something wrong, it's going to be really difficult for me to accept all of this experience.
Well, not just do something wrong, but disappoint people. Disappoint your family.
Why is we seem to bring that up a lot. Like this is a great question even that I'd like to even ask myself as we're talking here. Why is that such a big deal? The fear or the idea that someone would feel disappointed. What have we been trained or taught to think around the emotion of disappointment that we seem to want to avoid at all cost.
You know, listen, this is your role. I don't know. But I do need you to help me. Like I need to understand why it took me 47 years to feel comfortable enough to be Barlow 2.0. Could you let me know? Like why did it take that long? Was it my grooming? Was it how I was raised? Was it my belief system? You're like, what was it? All the things that society and people and family and the world tells you is not okay? Was it all that? Or was it just being afraid of the moment of truth? And I don't know what the answer is. But I do know that I'm fearful of disappointing people that I love. Very fearful of that.
I think it has to go back. I think it has something to do with how tribal we are. I think we associate the emotion of disappointment with survival. You know, like if I disappoint my parents, they'll shame me, they'll yell at me, some people have been disowned by their family.
Yeah, I know.
Because the parents were disappointed in their sexual orientation, their lifestyle choices, who they chose to get married to.
Didn't accept a religion that the family had always been in.
Right. Or I mean, there's so many layers to it. I mean, some people feel like if they don't have children and give their parents grandkids, their parents are going to be disappointed. Some people experience the parents actually saying that. How much pressure is that? So on some level, when we express, hey, I'm going to be disappointed with you if you don't do what I want, aren't we saying on some level that I don't just fully accept you?
Yeah,
you're not fully included.
It's exactly what that's saying. And I think we put the onus on our children by prepping them, by suggesting to them if they don't turn out a certain way, if they don't love a certain person, if they don't do a certain job, if they don't have a certain religion.
They don't text often enough. They don't come over often enough. They don't have the right kind of conversations. They don't keep them updated on everything going on in their life. They're not the first person they call. They're not their best friend. Like, think about it. The amount of expectations that no wonder this fear of disappointment is so deep, because the layers and layers and layers, some of them are unsaid, some of them are actually spoken.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all a part of a world that doesn't work.
And I'm exhausted.
And it's all predicated on the idea that everyone's walking around believing the illusion and the lie that I am separate. And that if I don't perform, if I disappoint, if I don't live up to the expectations, then inevitably I won't belong. But the truth of the matter is that if I understand who I actually am, and I also then simultaneously understand that you may not have awareness around who you are, so if you reject me, I can see it for what it is. This is a human being who feels separate, who thinks they have to play certain roles, who thinks they have to perform. And because I'm not meeting their expectation, it's creating them expressing that they're disappointed. But I see that for what it is, and I'm not going to get sucked into that drama because I know who I am, and I'm going to keep living in this vibration and this frequency. And by all means, it would be my preference that eventually they would rise and match that frequency and vibration, because I would love to do life with them. But at the same time, it's not up to me. They're free. I don't know if they're going to have that realization or not. I just know if a new world, if a world of 2.0, as Peter Crone would say, if a new way of being, a new realization of what it means to be human is going to exist, some of us have to live in that world and from that world first, and trust that eventually more will get tired of the old world and have interest in moving into the new world. But too often, because we love the idea of a new world, but we're still living from the old world, then when we don't see other people joining us, we lower our standards and we go back out of our own fears and our own insecurities and our own misidentification and our own addiction to our limited self. And we say, well, I better just go ahead and compromise because otherwise I won't fit in. I better go ahead and compromise, otherwise I won't be loved and accepted.
That's exactly my world.
I think that's all humans' world on some level.
Well, yeah, I mean you just told the story of like my whole childhood in a nutshell. I performed.
Yeah.
I was loved. Oh, I was supported. But I was also told, you're going to be successful. Not in my version.
Right. You're going to be successful according to how we define success.
Yes. And if I'm being completely honest, I played that role until my mid-40s.
And what happened that caused you to decide you didn't want to play that role anymore?
The three most important men in my life died. So guess what left?
The story.
Not just the story, but also the fear of disappointment.
Pause, guys. Brian, can you ask him that one more time? Shit. So what happened then in your mid-40s that caused you to stop playing that role? Was there like a catastrophic event?
I mean...
Or how did you even become aware that you were playing that role and you didn't want to anymore?
I think that the three most important men in my life died. All within a short period of time.
Oh, wow. So
the fear of disappointment.
Okay. I was going to say the story that you attached to those men kind of died with them.
I don't know that I could be the fullest version of myself, the most authentic version of myself with them on this. And it's not because they wouldn't love me. It was the fear of disappointment.
It's because they wouldn't accept you.
I don't know.
On some level.
I don't.
Or maybe they wouldn't accept your way of seeing life. They wouldn't accept your thinking around certain subjects. They wouldn't accept the fact that you had a different tolerance level for certain things that maybe they didn't have.
For sure.
Isn't all any of us ever want is to just be loved and accepted? Period.
End of story.
Period.
And wouldn't that be just, I mean, it's so simple. I mean, if I was, and again, I was raised in a loving, I know I was loved. I don't know that I would have been accepted in the truest form or version of who I thought I might be becoming.
Yeah.
And I think I think you're right. If we as people just loved and accepted, if we have, as people just loved and accepted, I think we would be in a very different zone in society.
Well, I know for me, like, the real motivation behind a willingness to want to continue to evolve, to grow, to stay open, to continue to shift out of an old world that I can easily see doesn't work in so many ways. There's a lot of ways in which it does work, you know, but I'm talking about at that deep level where you're at ease.
Yeah, peace.
You have inner peace. You're content.
Nervous system is calm.
You're not trying to control and manipulate everything. When things unfold, you just deal with them, you navigate them, you handle them. One of my biggest motivations is that I might be able to shift my entire family going forward. Now listen, I'm not sitting here under some naive idea that I don't have things that I've done, or that I'm not still dumping things into my children from time to time. Of course I am. I'm human. But what if I can live more in this new world and they get to experience a father who's living more in a new world, 2.0, than a father who was stuck
1.0,
performing, being someone I don't want to, having passive aggressiveness show up, having spurts of anger from time to time, losing my mind because somebody knocked over a glass or somebody scratched the car.
You didn't do that. Did you do that?
Of course.
You'd lose your crap.
But I don't anymore, really, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see the innocence of my children, like, you know, they break a plate, they knock over a drink, they spill the milk. It feels so fucking good to just be like, it's no big deal. It's okay.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be like releasing the handcuffs.
I mean, I've had a couple of those moments even recently, and I was just like completely calm, you know, and I could tell for like a split second, whichever kid it was, all of them, I could tell for a split second they were about to go into panic.
Yeah. Their nervous system kicking in. And
they were.
How am I going to be safe?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But then I was able to be exactly who I wanted to be so quickly that I saw them. It was like for one split second, they were about to panic. And then in another split second, they were like, it's okay. I get to be human. It's no big deal. We'll just clean it up. We'll get a new glass. But you know, those things reveal so much. For some people, a broken glass speaks to the programming they got around the fact that there's never enough money and that there's lack. And so what's really angering them is, well, if that happens too many times, we won't have any glasses to drink out of, and I'm not sure if we'll have enough money to buy any more.
Right.
I mean, it sounds crazy, right?
Right.
And so then all of that's going on at like a subconscious level. One of our kids breaks a glass. We haven't really processed that. We've never really worked through our own childhood or our own upbringing or our own programming or all the unwritten beliefs and rules that go unexamined inside of us. And then we lash out. And then what do? We get mad at ourselves. We feel horrible. And then we cause that child to then grow up super hyper vigilant and super aware and super afraid. And now that turns into an adult that can't do anything in their work life or their business life or maybe relationally, all because they have a nervous system that's afraid of making a mistake. Folks, you can't be alive and not make mistakes.
Right.
You can't be breathing. You can try as hard as you want and you will still spill the milk. You will still knock over the glass. You will still bump into the car. You will still make you'll still make an investment choice that doesn't work out. You'll still miss something. You'll still not show up the way your spouse wanted you to. Whatever it is, right? Like, as long as you're human, as long as you're alive, like those things are going to exist. So at the end of the day, this new world is a place where I make peace with it all, and I understand who I am and why I came here, and I need the contrast, and I need every component of this limited version of my being, called being a human, to exist in order for me to wake up and remember the true essence of who I am. And the only way for me to even have understanding about that is it's in relativity to the contrast of the limited version of who I am as a human.
What do you think you're going to hear from people? Because, you know, I mean, to be I mean, the last podcast, I just said something out loud that I've never really said, but to one other person, and I said it to you. What?
I didn't even blink. I almost felt like I almost didn't even give it enough time or enough reverence for what you said.
Well, that doesn't matter to me as much as like you're like. Can you imagine what you're about to unfold for people?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine men saying, I haven't really, I never even wanted to get married. I've been prone to be gay or, I've had a sexual orientation towards men, but I've never felt safe enough to actually come out and say that. I imagine, men saying that, they've got secrets, they've got stuff in hiding. It might be as simple as, I hate my mother, or I hate my mother-in-law, or God, I just wish I never had to go to another family function. And maybe they got introduced to a world of health that went way beyond the world of health that they were raised in, and maybe it caused them to get educated about how food works and diet and supplements and water and sleep and all of that. And maybe they've been working really hard to try to take care of themselves. And every time they go back into the same environment, it's the food that's not very good for you. It's the unhealthy programs. It's the habits. And maybe they don't know how to say, hey, I don't want to do that anymore, because maybe they have a family that associates love and acceptance to the food that's prepared. And if someone rejects it or doesn't eat it, they take it personal.
Right. Yeah.
We could go in so many different directions, but the amount of things that people feel like they have to suppress, they have to hide, they can't talk about. It's like that line in the movie, A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. And I think for a lot of people, they feel like the people in their lives can't handle their truth. And their truth might mean, I have a sexual orientation that is different than the one you approve of. I have a lifestyle in the way I relate to food than the one you do. I'm not trying to change you, convince you to be different. I just want to be accepted for the fact that I do it differently than you. Or maybe some of the people in our lives are still stuck in a paradigm that they're going to be broke forever, that there's never going to be enough money, that they live in a world of lack. And maybe this man is wanting to fully step into the 2.0 world full of abundance, full of possibility, full of opportunity, and yet they feel like everyone around them just wants to keep pulling them back into the old world. And there's real consequences in our everyday lives. It could mean that maybe you don't have the same relationship with a family member. Maybe it means you're not going to be able to be married. And then what if that brings up the narrative that you were taught that there's some God in the sky that hates divorce? And somehow that means you're a fucking bad person. And so you keep staying in a situation that just erodes at your soul. All in the name of, well, I wouldn't want to piss God off.
Might go to hell.
Might go to hell. Well, what if you found out you're the one directing the movie? There is no separation. There is no God out there that you could ever disappoint. That's just a contamination in your own mind that has to be reconciled, has to be felt. I want to say this, and I know we got to wrap up this episode, but I remember very distinctly during my cancer journey, as you can imagine, when you're told that you have maybe as little as 2 to 3 months to live, and you're 35 years old, you're married to your high school sweetheart at the time for 15 years, and your 3 kids are under 10, it'll get your attention. You can't imagine the amount of things I started questioning simply because I wanted to live. I didn't want my wife to be a widow in her 30s. I didn't want my kids to grow up without their father. I wasn't done experiencing everything that I wanted to experience and explore here on planet Earth. And so I started asking a lot of questions. I started asking myself, why do I believe what I believe? Well, I encountered a woman on my Facebook, never met her, don't know her, somehow got connected to her. And she was evolved way beyond the Christian religious framework that I had been handed. And I started seeing her post, and I became very triggered. I became very angry. I became very upset at what she was saying because it was basically, I was interpreting it as she was telling me that I was wrong. Now, that's not what she was doing, but in order for me to keep believing what I had been told and what I had been taught, I was at a crossroads because what she was saying couldn't be true simultaneously with what I had been taught was true. And so I remember the day that I was going to go and block her on Facebook because I couldn't handle it anymore. And I was pushing the buttons on my phone or my laptop to take those steps to block her. And I heard a voice, and it said, "So is that how it's going to work, Ryan? You're just going to run away from anything you don't currently understand. And you're just going to be threatened by anyone who sees things differently than you. That's how you're going to live?" And it stopped me in my tracks. And at that point, I decided I was going to make a conscious decision. And I was aware of a feature on Facebook called See First. You could mark 25 of your friends that you were connected to as See First, and it would ensure that every time they posted, their post went to the top of your news feed. And so instead of blocking this woman, I put her on my See First list. And I told myself, no matter what, I am not only going to see her stuff, I'm going to read it, and I'm going to be curious. Why does she see it this way? How did she arrive at this point of view? What is she trying to communicate? Do I even understand what it is that she's saying? And I believe that was a defining moment that helped me begin to move out of a world that didn't work, out of a dogmatic, anxiety-filled, role-playing, inauthentic way of being, and began to lead me to a world of freedom, of ease, and of truly being myself.
That one uncomfortable moment was set the stage for 2.0.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to take you being uncomfortable. It's going to take you understanding that you are 1.0 version of yourself, but 2.0 does exist. There is potential, but it's going to take you being uncomfortable.
Absolutely. And you're going to have to make a conscious decision and see it for what it is. In the uncomfortableness, in the pain, in the triggering, you're going to have to go, I don't care. I'm not running anymore.
Well, it's funny because I just experienced that on the last podcast with you. That was an extremely uncomfortable moment for me. Extremely.
Yeah.
And so
I'm excited to have more conversations about it. I really am.
I don't know that I'm excited about having those conversations, but I'm excited about reaching 2.0.
Yeah.
And I think having those uncomfortable moments,
Yeah.
having that uncomfortable moment, I should say,
Yeah.
and having those uncomfortable conversations
Right.
are the only thing, or a few things that are going to elevate me to Barlow 2.0, which I am dedicated to achieve.
Well, I'd like to end this episode with something that I sent my oldest son recently. And I think it really speaks to the new version of me as a father and what I truly want to embody, so that going forward, hopefully, as my kids are the next generation of Luelfs, they will have at least less of the 1.0 version in them
and more of the
2.0.
Let's hear it.
Addison, there's something I want you to really hear from me, not as a heavy talk, but as truth from a father who loves his son more than anything. This last year, you've seen me at some of my hardest moments, not just with the cancer many years ago, but with everything financially, emotionally, and mentally that you and I walked through together. You've watched me try to rebuild, figure things out, carry weight, face stress, and navigate pressure. That's a lot for any son, especially one who loves his dad the way you do. I know you haven't ever pushed me away, and you really never have shown frustration. But as your father, I know you, and I know how much you hold inside silently. I know how deeply you feel things. I know how much you pay attention without saying a word. I know how much you try to be strong for me, yourself, your mom, your friends, Sky, your fiance, just being the steady, calm, and present human being that you are. I'm messaging you to say I release you from all of that.
Oh, God.
None of what happened, not the cancer when you were 10, not the money swings, not the instability, not the pressure of this past year was ever meant for your shoulders. You were just a kid back then, and even now at 20, you're still figuring out life, your identity, and your path. You're not meant to be the one who carries all the weight, all the stress, all the emotions. That's not your job. I'm sorry for the moments when life forced you to grow up faster than you should have. I'm sorry for any pressure you absorbed from me, even if I never intended for you to feel it. I'm sorry for the times it felt like you had to be steady so I could fight through the things and the battles that I was going through. But I want you to know this clearly. I'm good now. I'm grounded. I'm stronger. I'm in a new chapter, and you don't have to worry about me. I need nothing from you, son. Nothing but your presence, your laughter, your honesty, and your life unfolding in the way you choose. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You definitely don't have to be strong for me, and you don't have to hold anything internally to protect me. I love you exactly as you are.
God damn it.
I'm proud of who you're becoming, your heart, your integrity, your maturity, your spirit, and your truth. You mean the world to me. You're one of the greatest gifts of my entire life. You don't owe me anything, son. Not success, not strength, not stability, not clarity, and certainly not perfection. You're free from all of that. I'm here for you now, fully, as your dad, as a steady presence, as someone who loves you with everything I have. I'm excited to watch your life unfold without all of this weight on your shoulders. I love you more than you know, Dad.
Shit.
And he just said, thanks, Dad. I love you too.
Oh, fuck.
And
God.
that doesn't remove challenges. That doesn't stop us from being human. And that doesn't mean we won't still at times carry stuff that we shouldn't. But man, if something happened to me on my drive home tonight, my son can carry that in his heart for every day that he exists on this earth. We leave so many things unsaid, and instead we say all the things we wish we never had.
God, that's so true. That is so true. We say all the things we wish we wouldn't have, and never those things. If my father or grandfathers ever sent me a message like that, it would have changed the trajectory of my entire life. And you might have done the same to yours. And in fact, I need to do the same to mine.
Yeah, well, we got a lot more to talk about on the next episode, so
Bro,
I'm looking forward to it.
You know what, though? Before we end this podcast, can I just say, you're not just coaching it, you're living it.
Yeah.
You're not just saying it, you're doing it. You're just not curious about it, you're making it happen. And yeah, I have a really good relationship with both my kids, but my son struggles some. And you know, our sons know each other and have some form of a relationship. But all that says to me is you're, number one, ineffable. And number two, like I said, you're living it, not just coaching it, but you're inspiring it now, because I'm going to go do my version of that tonight.
Yeah.
Because I need to.
You want to.
And I want to.
And you'll love doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude.
So beautiful, man.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
No, seriously. That was tough to sit through.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, it's me again, Barlow. So I want to let you know that what Ryan Luelf is coaching, it's super real. Not programmed, not premeditated, and not inspired by anything other than raw truth and an unconditional love formatted by Source. You. Ryan's testimony is real. His life experience is indicative of a program he designed to not only transform one's self-identity and purpose, but to give a new outlook of what real, unprogrammed life could be, and at its highest, most enjoyable frequency once the preconditioned societal norms have been dismantled, erased. His work is raw, real, and life-altering. If you want more of this content, we have 2 places that you can go. You can join Ryan Luelf's School, SKOOL, for raw, unedited versions of his podcast and him personally, or you can book a free, simple clarity call for men needing to be heard, needing to be understood, or just given hope, someone to listen, to say that life is as real as your conscience allows. Those calls are designed to help you gain clarity. They're called clarity calls, and they're free. We hope that you allow us to help you, and then if we can help you, then you can let you. Pretty simple.